Welcome to the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. This is your number one crypto podcast to hear directly from the movers and shakers, innovators, and disruptors in the cryptocurrency industry. Follow on Twitter for updates and to communicate directly at Woof Big Dawg. That's at Woof Big DAWG. Now, here is your host, the one and only Big Dawg Crypto.
Digital Bits is a protocol layer blockchain focused on supporting consumer digital assets. This is inclusive of assets such as loyalty and reward points, branded NFTs, fan tokens, and notably branded stablecoins. Find Digital Bits on Twitter at DigitalBitsORG. Digital Bits, making the future happen today.
And welcome to another episode of the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. I am your host, Big Dawg Crypto, and I have been trying to get this guy for a long time. He is busy, but I finally got him. Bitcoin Trapper. Brother, how are you doing?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Sorry it's been so long, but I'm here now.
No, man, you're busy, man. And it's like you're one of these accounts that, and I've been, about 4 years on crypto Twitter. I started following you. I got to tell you, man, you were, and like all accounts build up, you might have had a few thousand followers and you have just absolutely taken off with your calls, with your knowledge. I'm looking now, you're over 70. It's like, I remember this account back when, you know what I mean? And now you're like one of the major accounts on crypto Twitter. Tell me, how'd you get started on Twitter? How'd you get started in crypto? How did it all begin?
You know what? Crypto Twitter for me literally started as a way for me to document my trades. That was all it was for me initially. It was just like a journal. It was somewhere for me to kind of log on, post my idea, and then I could look back and see how it went and improve, That was all I used crypto Twitter for initially. It was nothing to do with building a following. I actually had an account which got to 30,000 followers and then it got shut down. And I wasn't going to reopen one, because I felt like by that time I'd learned enough on my journey to not have to do it anymore. So I actually took a break for 6 months from Twitter, and then I reopened an account as Bitcoin Trapper and decided to kind of start rebuilding it again. But yeah, it literally was just a way for me to document and improve my trades, and somewhere that I could look back on my journey and see, and just see everything that happened. But it obviously developed into a lot more than that. It grew quite fast, and it's still growing quite fast now. And yeah, man, I just love providing for the community. A lot of people charge for their stuff. There's a lot of good people charging for their stuff as well. Don't get me wrong. But I just feel like, if I'm going to be making my money through trading, and I'm going to be making my money that way, then why not just provide the information for free on Twitter and Telegram? It's why not help people get to where I got a lot quicker? I felt like if I had someone like that from the get-go, it would have saved me a lot of mistakes on my journey, man. I've had to learn the hard way.
That's interesting you say that, because I think, and we were talking earlier before about some of the, previous, guests or whatnot. And I think a lot of what I'm seeing now versus what I saw 4 years ago, I feel like in 17, you didn't see a lot of the big accounts. Okay. And we say big, but it is. You have people that follow you and they pay attention to your stuff because, you have good calls, or they look at your analysis or whatnot. And you're one of the accounts that they look at. But the thing is, I feel like in 17, you had some of those, but now you've got people that have more of a deeper connection to the community and are trying to share. I guess this is what I'm getting at. They're trying to share the stuff they went through, the stuff they didn't have. And they're trying to say, look, this is what's going on in 2021. Pay attention to the markets, right? Pay more. How do you feel about that versus, let's say, when you got on and now the way you see the community?
Oh, it's growing hugely. Back when I first got into crypto, I could talk to 100 people and maybe in the real world, I could talk to 100 people, maybe 3 or 4 would know what I'm talking about. Now, every single friend in my circle is involved, my cousins, my family, people that told me that it was never going to be anything and now paying attention. And obviously these people are all on social media initially. They're all on Twitter, Instagram, and now you've got all these sorts of people coming into crypto as well. It's almost become the norm, and you've just got, it's not even just big crypto influencers anymore. You've got celebrities coming into crypto now, like look at Buster Rhymes, all these guys coming into crypto. That's
It's growing.
it's almost a trend now. It's not a new upcoming thing anymore. It's a trend, and people don't really have choice but to take notice now. Um,
It's getting bigger. Well, let me ask you this though: when what were you doing when you first, like the first time you even heard about crypto? Do you remember like where you were, what you were doing, or where it was you heard about it from?
yeah, man. It's crazy, to be honest. The first time I heard about crypto was an interview back in, I think, 2016 or 17 with Nipsey Hussle. Don't know if you've heard of him, Nipsey Hussle, the hip hop artist.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
there was like a documentary. He went to Amsterdam where he kind of invested in a few cryptocurrencies, and I just watched that documentary that evening. And ever since that night, I just looked into it more and more. And at the time, I was broke. I was completely broke. I was living at home with my family. My brother had moved out with his partner, and it was getting to the point I had to be on those paths as well. I needed to leave as well. I'm 30 now, so when you get into your 30s, your parents want you gone, man. And yeah, I just needed a way to get that extra money. I was in a dead end job, which was earning me a salary 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Most of it was going on my bills. I had very little at the end of each month spare. But rather than going out clubbing, going down the pub, going all these places like the normal teenager will do, or the normal young male will do, it just went straight into crypto. All my overdraft money. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't recommend people to get into debt to get into crypto. But if you can't get out of debt in the real world, and you have £300 or £400 a month of your salary left over, like I did, I kept putting that into crypto. And at the time, to the outside, to the normal person, it doesn't look like the best move. But that's the only reason I got out
Well,
of
you basically took a chance.
the circle. I was 500 a month I was putting into crypto. If it turned out 3 or 4 years, that got me to where I needed to be when crypto blew up. That got me out of that cycle. I got kicked out by my family, man. I was made homeless. At one point, it got to a point where my family had enough of me, had enough of crypto, to be honest with you. Every night they saw me just crypto, 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 but they saw nothing really coming out of it. So, they kicked me out, and I had a choice basically to either, I think I had 8 grand in crypto at the time, and I could either sell that up, which would probably get me about half a year's worth of rent in the UK, and continue going to work, or I could just live out of a car for the foreseeable future, continue going to work, but then I could keep hold of my crypto. And the thing is, obviously, I'd been studying crypto a long time. I'd been studying market cycles, and now obviously I knew that we were in the accumulation phase. Everything was bottomed out at the time. And I knew that it was just, although things looked dead and they weren't really moving, I knew that it was just a matter of time until eventually things started popping. And so I took the car route. I lived in a car park for, I won't paint it pretty for you. I lived in a car park. It was rough for pretty much nearly a year.
Wow.
Sleeping in a sleeping bag. Just at times I wondered if I was going crazy. People would come visit me in the car park. Everyone had girlfriends and stuff at the time. So the boys that would usually sort of offer me a sofa, or, it wasn't really possible. So even my mum and dad, my family, they found out where I was staying. They came and visited me one night, and they were trying to get me to sell my crypto.
Wow.
And I just, it was so hard to stick to my gut. Like 9 out of 10 people would have just sold up and just gone and rented and got a place to stay. But, I wouldn't change a thing, man. Like, you
I
know.
mean, you can't have more diamond hands than that, man. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
you
like,
know.
you talk about diamond hands, man. That's the most diamond hands I have ever heard, brother. That's
Yeah,
wow.
but I mean, that's you almost need that in crypto, man, because
Yeah.
crypto, until you learn how to trade properly and you learn how to manage everything properly, crypto will go wrong and wrong and wrong and wrong until it goes
Sure.
right, you know. And it's most people give up before that time, you know. They don't
Right.
stick it out. It's like right now, you know, we're probably gonna get one more big pullback in the market before everything goes up at the end of the year, and everyone's gonna think it's over again, you know.
So do you want, well, let me ask you this, because looking at your charts, looking at your different, analysts of stuff, do you see, do you want to even guess now or kind of say, okay, look, we're recording this at the end of August, 2021. Do you want to kind of guesstimate when it would, or do you not like to do that kind of stuff? Or what are your thoughts on that?
No,
And I'm
yeah,
talking about
I'm
when
more than
Bitcoin's going to
happy
have the
to.
retracement. Hmm?
I mean, I actually posted on Twitter when Bitcoin was dumping out of the range low, and everyone was calling it over. I actually posted it running back to the range high, which we've done now. We actually went past the range high. And the
Right.
thing is, now we've run it past the range high. I mean, we could just fall off from here. I'm not going to lie, but I am anticipating one more push up. I think we'll get one more push up into the low 50Ks, 52K, towards the end of this week, possibly. And then I do think it will probably go down from there. I think September's going to be a nasty month. Whether Bitcoin goes down to new lows at 25K or whether it bounces and forms a bit of a higher low or double bottoms remains to be seen. But, you know, altcoins will go down back towards prices they were, in my opinion. Everyone will get good buying opportunities again. So,
Right.
I mean, people probably really want to be booking profits from these rallies that we've seen. I mean, we obviously had a big sell-off yesterday and today as well. So
Well,
there's
when you
signs that we're starting to top out now, you know.
So let me ask you on that, because looking at your charts and whatnot, and you really have been spot on. But looking at them, and I wonder this, especially with people that are very big on TA. What amount would you say when you look at it? You look at it all. You look at Bitcoin, whatever it may be. What percentage are you TA versus FA?
You know what the craziest thing, although if you go on my Twitter, it's TA.
Mm-hmm.
I'd actually probably say TA is probably 20%.
No, really. I
Yeah,
thought you said like 80-20, because you really, I mean, your
yeah,
charts
I'd
are
say
awesome.
TA
I mean, and you're spot
20%.
on. So
I think TA 20%. I think FA
yeah.
10%, and I think 70% is psychology and
Yeah.
emotional management. Honestly, I think emotional management is the biggest key. Without that, the rest just doesn't happen anyway. So,
No, but you know what? You're spot on that, and it's interesting because you don't always hear. I mean, you hear people say, "Well, I'm TA or I'm FA or a mix or whatnot," and the markets, and we know this. I mean, you look at what things are going and this and that, and when it comes to the psychology behind the markets, when somebody says, "Well, how can XYZ meme coin right have a 100 billion mark, whatever it may be?" I'm just saying, and you've seen some of the wildest stuff in these markets. We talked earlier, risk management. Somebody new in this space, what would you tell them about how to manage risk? Somebody that's brand new in the space.
um, there's quite a few things. I mean, to be honest, starting out, the first thing I'd say to a beginner or someone who's trying to develop and learn in crypto is stay away from leverage for one. You know, pro traders go into spot positions and it goes wrong, no matter leverage. You know, until you're good at trading and you've got enough money that you can only allocate 1% to that leverage trade and it doesn't ruin your life if it goes wrong. Just stay away from leverage. That's the first thing. You know, I've got friends coming into crypto now, which I know for a fact don't have a clue what they're doing, and they're playing with leverage. And I just say to them, just stop. It's they have one or two winning trades and they want to do
Sure.
it even more. And that's the first thing. I'd say the key is just protecting profit. You know, everyone thinks that the re-entry will never come and that everything's just going to keep going up. It never ever happens. You know, I've got quite a good a thing for beginners, which might help for booking profit. You know, if you just book profit in relation to the pump. So if you've got, let's say, a bag of 50,000 links sat there and it pumps 50%, I sell 50% of the bag. You know, if it pumps 60%, I sell 60% of the bag. Pumps 70%, 70% of the bag. And then those profits get split 30% into a spot trading portfolio, 30% into a long-term portfolio, and then 30% goes into your USDT portfolio. And then each time you have a winning trade and you do that and you keep compounding those gains, you'll be so surprised at the progress you make. I mean, you only need to double $1,000 10 times to make $1 million. It's just people don't, if you were to start that, people wouldn't stick to that. You know, they'd double it from 1,000. They'd eventually veer off that strategy, whereas it's so simple to actually do it if you stick to it. You know, compounding gains is such a huge thing, you know, and people really disregard compounding gains, and profit taking is the key to compounding gains, you know.
I think it's easier said than done. No, I think what you're saying is right. You're absolutely right.
It is,
I think
but
the challenge
that's
is
where the psychology comes into it that I was saying before, you know, because when people get euphoric and their trades flying through let's say it's just flown 2x in a day or two, they need to notice that euphoria, and that's their sale. That's okay. Now I pull a portion of my position. You know, it's just like when everyone gets scared and panics at the bottom. You need to notice that, and you need to check yourself, and you need to do the opposite. You know, because retail will come into crypto and they won't always just enter a trade and it go smooth sailing. You know, often it will actually go wrong. And psychology is just such a key part in trading. I mean, you can lay out a trade fundamentally. You can plan, okay, this has got this happening at the end of the month. Then you can lay out your trade technically. You can pick the levels you want to sell, pick your entry and stuff. But if then once you're in that position, you know, you're going to get too excited when it hits your target and you're not going to sell. It just all goes out the window, you know. And then all of a sudden, you're in a trade which. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I did not mean to. No, what's that line? If you don't take profit, someone else will.
Exactly. If you don't take profit, someone's just going to dump on you. So
yeah.
And so many times, coming up as a trader, right? I've had trades which go exactly as planned. My targets get hit, and then if you don't pull at your targets, all of a sudden you're in a trade which is going against you fast, and you're not happy because you couldn't pull your targets. You now don't want to pull that position. And before you know it, that trade back near your entry. And then all of a sudden, if you don't pull that, or if you don't have a stop loss in, that's going into a losing trade. And these are all things that newbies do. You know, that will happen. They don't have a stop loss in. And it's just one step forward, 3 steps back. Whereas with risk management, it just makes sure that it's constant progression, you know. And don't get me wrong. I mean, even today, I'd be a liar if I said I stuck to my risk management all the time. You know, I'm human. I'm only human. But the times I don't, I wish I did. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, like you said, I mean, you do it and you do it a lot. And I'm sure there's probably those times you're like, well, let me try. But overall, though, I think the general thing of what you're saying, I mean, you know, people need to hear that, because I feel like in this space, not enough people share things like that, right? You have new people that come in and, like you said, leverage, they get wrecked with that. I don't find they always get the best advice, because, you know, people are just talking about other stuff. So I think things like this, especially if we have a euphoric type fall, like we have in 17, if we have something like that in 21, I'm like, hey, look, you know, especially if you're an account that has a lot of people that pay attention to you, let them know to book profits, because, you know, you got to let them know. I feel like it's doing a service, really. Best way to say it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, if you've got a bag which has run 3x and you book a small percentage of that, and then that bag goes on to run 50x, you're still going to make a lot of money, you know?
Sure.
It's like people think that once you're out, it's over. I mean, it's out. It's over once you're out if you pull the whole position. you know. But if we're going to get these kind of end of year this year, we're going to get that kind of crazy run that we had in 2017.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to make a lot of money if, let's say, for example, your trade runs 3x and you book your initial that you put into that position to cover yourself, so it's risk free. You're going to make a lot of money if the other half of that position runs 50x. You know, that's life changing money. And
Sure. At least you have the
you know,
profit, no matter what, from the part you pulled from the table.
exactly, man. I mean,
Yeah.
people come into a crypto and they want to buy the bottom and they want to sell the top, when they're forgetting that there's 98% of profit in between the two. You know, and
I like that.
it's
Yeah.
it's crazy. And then obviously in between that you have all the pullbacks on route. So I mean, for example, Hathel right now, which is a coin I trade quite often, I mean, it's up nearly 3x from the lows that it had. But on route, you've had three big high time frame pullbacks, you know. So it's
Sure.
like if you trade them as well on route, I mean, and you compound throughout the bull run, it's insane money. But that all comes with risk management, you know, good capital protection. I'm still learning it myself, you know. I mean, it's not the sort of thing which you learn and then it's learned forever, because
It's a constant learning process. Yeah. Yeah. No
yeah,
doubt.
it's constant, you know. There's emotions tied to it all, especially as you make more and more and more money, you know. It
Sure.
almost becomes more and more and more emotional. You need to keep that in check even more, you know. It's very different trading now with the amount of money I have now compared to when I had 8 grand when I was hungry.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's a
Well,
completely different ball game.
if you're, let me ask you this. So if you're in a trade and you're trading throughout the day, what time frames do you prefer? Are you a 15-minute, hour, 2 hours? What do you, if you're actively on something nonstop, what charts do you look at?
I only enter my trades based on the daily time frame. Obviously the higher the time frame you use, the bigger the moves you're going to get. So if you enter at daily support, you can expect a bigger bounce than if you enter at support on the 15-minute chart. You know, I kind of ignore the low time frames. I use the low time frames to get a good entry on a coin I've decided I want to enter on high time frame. So it's like if dot's at a good entry on the daily, I'll then use the 15-minute chart to get a good sniper entry on that, you know. But otherwise, the low time frames are irrelevant to me. I mean, we're at the point now in the bull run as well where, you know, that all those sort of time frames are irrelevant now. You need to be looking at the daily, the weekly, the 3-day, 4-hour, 6-hour.
Sure.
They're the best ones, man. And then obviously, if you use high time frame EMAs alongside that, so like EMA 200. I mean, all you need to do in crypto is you need to find one little edge that you can find to make money, and you just need to keep repeating it. And you know, I don't have anything open on my chart apart from EMA 200, you know, and I buy support on the daily, I buy support on the 4-hour, and I sell the bounces, you know, and then when the time's right to let it run, I let it run. But I mean, that's all you need to do, man. You learn patterns. If you can learn the basic patterns and start learning the basics of market structure, then it really does go a long way. It's just people aren't really willing to kind of just put in, and it takes a few hours and you could understand the full basics of support and resistance, which in itself you can make a living off, you know, you really
As
could.
long as you're following it. Yeah. You have to put the
Exactly.
time in, though. That's what you're saying. Yeah, you got to put the time in.
Exactly. And the hardest bit is it's not even putting in the time to learn. It's then going on the journey and realizing you've probably got to go through X amount of setbacks en route to actually then doing it all properly. And, you know, it's not as smooth sailing as people seem to think, but, you know, if you want to be financially free and not have to work for someone, it's never meant to be easy, but
Sure.
you do need to stick to it. You know, it's funny, actually. I saw a friend earlier that bumped into my old boss down the shops last week, and they still think apparently I'm going to lose all my money and I'm going to end up going back to my old job that I left last year.
They
You
have no
know,
idea.
little do they know that I've got more than enough money pulled from crypto to ever have to do that. And
Because they
you
probably
know,
still don't. They don't understand. You know what I mean? Like they just don't
well, I
understand.
tried to get
So
them all into crypto. I tried to get all of my old work colleagues, my boss, into crypto, and none of them, it falls on deaf ears. You sound like a crazy man, like you're
sure.
preaching all these coins to
I'm
people.
not messing with that. I don't know what that is. Internet
Yeah,
money.
exactly, and then I mean, you still get it a bit nowadays. It's not as bad now
Yeah.
because it's more in the public eye, but, you know, I mean, one in
Yeah,
five
most people
women will
still don't know. Yeah.
yeah, but, you'll find one in five women, will know about crypto, maybe one in five men will know about crypto, but
Right.
the other four just look at you thinking like, who's this crazy guy? What is he on about? And
No, I completely agree. I said that to somebody the
amazing,
other day. I
man.
said, look, you could ask 20 people on the street, what do you know? And most of them still don't know that, they don't know the difference between Bitcoin and blockchain. You know what I mean? And
Of
they
course,
don't know. I
it's
mean, they've
slowly
heard of it. They've
changing
heard of
now, though.
Bitcoin, but they don't know what it is.
It is slowly changing that
Yeah.
now, man. Like I'm noticing it a lot. A lot of my friends, cousins, family, people who weren't even interested in it before now want to put money into it. And I think obviously Elon Musk, people like that have obviously helped out a lot in bringing attention to crypto. But
Yeah, he's certainly been the marketing department. Well, and once again, Dogecoin. I mean, somebody who'd asked me, he just learned about crypto and said, wow, do you know about Doge? I'm like, yeah, we knew about Doge back in the day. And if you'd have told me that Doge would be, in 2017, that Doge would be $1 or the world would shut down, I'd probably be like, oh, the world's going to shut down. Right. I mean,
yeah,
nobody knew in 2000. And to say you did in 17, no one knew that.
Dogecoin is always a coin which everyone knows that Dogecoin is usually a precursor to alt season. So when Dogecoin
Yeah.
starts blowing up, it's kind of a good sign everything else is going to start popping. And
Yeah.
I actually bought a huge bag of Doge. We had that little mini alt season before everything popped.
Right.
I bought 14 million Doge back then, back when it was really, really cheap.
Mhm.
And I just sold it. I sold it for like 30% pump. And then all of my friends, when Elon got involved with Doge, all my friends were getting involved in crypto at the time. And they were all asking me, should I buy it? Should I buy it? But where it was up so high from where I knew it should be, like
Yeah.
value wise, I kept telling them, nah, man, no, there's better investments. Put your money here, here, and here. And then Elon just wouldn't stop tweeting about Doge and just kept sending it and sending it and
We had no
sending it.
idea. It was like,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's just like, how can I tell my friends who finally want to come into crypto to put their life savings into this Dogecoin, which
Yeah.
is essentially it's crap until Elon started pushing it. I
I
think
had the same,
four wallets own most of the supply or some bullshit.
bro. I had the same thing. I told somebody not to get it, and they were like, "Didn't want to buy it because you're like, it went 50x." I'm like, "Come on."
Yeah, don't
I
get me
mean,
wrong. I've
we
made
weren't
a
going to
lot of
recommend
money
that.
in crypto, but I'd have made more money if I held that big Doge bag,
Yeah, well,
because
that's
yeah,
the biggest thing that anybody has been in this space a while. You talk about I always like to ask, like, what's one of the strangest things you've seen? I know for me, that's the fact that Doge did what it did. That's still bizarre. But
well, I think
it's
after Doge, I think Shib doing what it did topped it. To be honest with you,
all the
I
dog
mean,
coins.
yeah, I mean, isn't that still
Yeah.
sitting at multi-billion market cap now?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, look, you
You know
can't
what?
underestimate. The thing is, like, Doge has
Yeah,
marketing that no one can buy. You've got Elon Musk talking about it, Mark Cuban talking about it. And, you can't, it's like you could buy every sporting event in the world. You can't top something like that when they're on Twitter doing this. And that's really the crazy thing. We're in a situation now where media hype cycles can drive anything. And so, it's interesting now versus a few years ago. And I know you've been in this long enough to see it too. It's just wild the way that the space has gotten, in the media talking about
I mean, it's
specifically.
insane, man. You've got coins like SHIB, which is sat here at 3.5 billion market cap, 3.5 billion market cap, a
Yeah,
meme token which launched this year.
sure.
And then you've got coins like, for example, RSR, which is often the number one finance app in Venezuela, being
Yeah,
used by real world people in banking crisis,
yeah. I followed that for a while. Yeah,
which isn't even half a billion market cap. And it's just once once people start to notice these types of things, these types of projects will start exploding. Hathor, 200
sure.
million market cap at the highs. I mean, I think it's 100 million now, maybe even less.
Mhm.
Coins like this is where I want my money. You know,
And those are the ones that last long term. Let's call it like it is, right? I mean, those
Yeah,
projects last long term. These other ones, the meme coins, they're going to go in and out. There'll be different memes and muffin coin, whatever it may be. But yeah, I mean, it's
it's
the
not
hype
about where the
cycle of some of
hype
these.
is, man. It's not
Yeah,
about where the hype is. It's about getting into coins when, I mean, you might have to be in a coin for 6 months to a year before people really start talking about it on Twitter. But then when that
sure.
happens, that's your life-changing move. That's
Yeah.
how you get those coins that go from 10 mil market cap to 10 bill market cap. People, coins like RSR were
Mhm.
that cheap at one point. People, I think Spectre Group, for example, I
Mhm.
think they were loading RSR at 10 mil market cap. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I remember.
they're the
Yeah.
sort of plays you want. For example, Hathor, 100 million market cap. I'd say that's a guarantee to go 10 bill market cap at some point. I
Yeah.
mean, if
No.
you play that move, you're set.
Absolutely. What I'm saying though, and this, you're bringing up solid projects, and eventually, it's at a certain amount of time they're going to take off. They're going to be there. I'm just saying, you see these meme coins. We saw that last year, right? Last summer and all that, or last year with all the food coins and everything. And it's just people wonder how something, or I'll say safe move, but you know what I'm saying. Something just absolutely takes off and doesn't really have fundamentals, but it's got fundamentals. And I just, the space is interesting because, like anything, crypto has a lot of hype, but also blockchain technology and other things that are so relevant to how it's going to make the world a better place and transparent. But there's no doubt that you just see some things take off, and it's just wild. It's
That's the
just wild.
casino side to crypto. You
Sure. Oh,
know,
absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that's the beautiful thing about crypto is, I
Yeah.
mean, all my friends which lay a bet on the weekend on football, I've said
Yeah.
to them, man, just get into crypto because not only will it
It's
satisfy
better.
that urge, yeah, it will get you somewhere. You can build a
You can bet on something
portfolio.
daily and you might win. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if your bet goes wrong, it can go right again. You
Sure.
know, it's not over.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't really play too much with meme coins. I mean, 99% of my portfolio um, will just be dedicated to strong altcoins. I'll probably be pulling all of my money. I've pulled bits, but I'll probably be pulling all of my money in full.
Mhm.
Well, on this next push up, if we get one,
Mhm.
and then looking to reload it all on dips. But I really do think that we get, end of year, we see that those sort of 50x rallies,
So,
from the lows.
well, let
People
me, if I
just
could
need to
add.
stick around.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I get kind of excited to ask you this. I mean, so two things. Well, two-part thing. Ethereum, do you want to get a ballpark high you could see it doing? And second part of that question is, do you think Ethereum flips Bitcoin at any point in the next 12 months?
um, Firstly, do I think Ethereum flips Bitcoin? I think there'll be times when Ethereum's running so hard, people start contemplating it again. But I don't think it'll ever happen, man. To be
Yeah,
honest, I mean, Bitcoin's been king forever,
yeah,
and I mean, whenever Bitcoin corrects hard, Ethereum corrects hard. It's very
sure.
rare that you see one running big without the other. So for it to close that gap and flip it for good, I mean, it's going to take a huge move. But I do see F going to, well, I see it easily going to 10K. I think that's a guarantee. I think
Okay.
15 to 20K is
So wait,
a very good target.
are we talking? I mean, I'm saying, especially like the end of this year. Are you talking during the end of this year about a 10 that you could see?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I
No,
think we're
because that's
gonna
kind of
get.
what I was thinking. It's interesting because I thought about a 10 range, maybe 9, but no, that's interesting. I could see that
Maybe
happening
even a
too.
bit higher, man, at the blow off top. Because I do think that after this pullback we're going to get in September, I think the rest of the year is going to be pretty um, violent
Fourth
once
quarter.
things get going. Yeah, yeah.
But really fourth quarter, which is
I'm
really, you
looking.
look at 17. Yeah. I mean, that's really, because I want to say in 17, it was kind of, it was the summer was kind of starting to go up, right? And then it kind of dropped a bit in September, and then did it start end of September, early October, things started going on that parabolic run, the alts and
Yeah,
stuff, right?
man. 2017 was crazy for me because I actually wanted to get into crypto when XRP was around 20 cents. And I signed up to Coinbase. I signed up to all these exchanges that I could get it through. But at the time where crypto was so new, everything was so slow. So to get verified on Coinbase, it wasn't like a daily thing. You can just get it done in one day. And it actually took me months, and it was months. I think it was 2.5 months before I could buy my first crypto after I wanted to get in. And by that point, XRP was in the dollar rate of multiple dollars, all these coins were just flying. And I kind of, where I hadn't done my learning and started the learning process yet, I bought in, I watched everything fly up a lot higher. But where it was kind of a bit late, it then all just started dumping on me. And then that's where the learning cycle started, I had to learn the hard way. Initially, I didn't have much money in crypto. At the time, I didn't have much money at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the learning process started from there. But a lot's changed now, you can sign up to these exchanges and buy crypto same day, get verified same day, which to me says that this bull run could be even crazier when it happens, and you've got that.
Because more people have access.
Yeah, exactly. Binance won't go down all of a sudden like it did in the last one,
Well, remember, exchanges go down at certain points. And then, of course, we had Cryptopia and all these different stories in 17. You got to wonder, I think, if more exchanges are solid. And I'm talking about the smaller ones and stuff. But then I guess it comes to handling volume, right? Like anything, like any server, right? Can you handle the volume that we're likely to get? And that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at it this way. I'd probably say Qcoin today is probably as good as Binance was last bull run. So exchanges have progressed a lot, obviously you've got Huobi, Cryptopia's gone now, but I mean exchanges like Qcoin, Huobi, FTX, these are all FTX is a big exchange that wasn't here in 2017,
right.
Yeah, I mean, we're just in a much better position so that when everything does take off, there's no issues. Exchanges won't go down, hopefully. Well, having said that, when we had that last big pullback, everything went down, didn't it?
Look, everybody loses power.
It's just an excuse.
Don't you lose power at your house?
It's just an excuse so that you can't buy the lows. I'm telling you.
I mean, I don't know. It's wild. It's just the space has gotten so big. And even like with Coinbase, I mean, it's somebody asked me the other day, said, well, if you have orders, and somebody that was more of a stock trader, didn't know much about crypto, was like, well, can't you have your order set? I said, sure, you can have them set. So he said, you have nothing to worry about if you have a limit, like a limit, right? Sell order. I said, for the most part, as long as the power stays on. Just go ahead and get your rest next year. Don't sleep at all. Don't sleep at all at the end of this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just exchanges always seem to come up with these issues like, they need maintenance or they need an upgrade or at the key buying times. I mean, it's not coincidence. It's like the bad news coming out when everything looks bullish and like China banning Bitcoin when Bitcoin looked good. It's like everything comes out at planned times. And, I'm pretty sure that soon we'll start seeing bad news roll out to cause another sell-off. And then when we're down at the lows again, we'll get a load of bullish news come out. You'll probably get Elon start tweeting again, and everything runs. I think November, if I had to put a time, I think November is the reversal month where I think October will be bottoming out. September will be spent pulling back. November, December, possibly into January, we'll be getting those crazy runs.
That's an interesting thing, though, because you remember in 17, it went up, it peaked, I think Bitcoin peaked around December 17th, and then it started going down, then ultimate ballistic. But by middle to end of January, right, we knew that, okay, they're if you didn't book your profits, right, you're on that downward cycle. Some people have said next year's a full bear market. Nothing usually repeats exactly, right? Sometimes history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Do you think we have a similar type thing, or do you think that this bull run, the Bitcoin top goes into a bit of the new year, or do you think we're looking at a similar end of December, beginning of January?
I think we'll top out end of December, beginning of January, personally.
Okay.
But that being said, though, I mean, I remember when Bitcoin topped out last bull run in 2017, and it just simply playing the bounces from the highs. So if you remember, Bitcoin had that 6K level where every time it tagged it on the way
Yeah.
down, it just had a huge bounce.
Yeah.
You know, just playing those bounces with a set percentage of your portfolio, it's like a mini bull run in itself each time, you know. So just make sure you book that profit in December, January,
Right.
because it's going to be such life-changing money, in my opinion. You know, just make sure it's booked, because then you're set and you can just play these bounces throughout the bear market, and then before you know it, the bull runs here again. You know,
Only if you cash out, then it's life-changing money. If not, it's a life-changing regret.
exactly, and you know,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing that people really are going to underestimate, and that's actually pulling profit, because even once you're you've been in crypto years, that's not an easy skill. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of excitement involved, especially when you're making a lot of money. You know, and it can all just within a blink of an eye, it's gone. You know, if you miss
Sure.
that window to hit that sell button, it's over. You know,
It's kind of
you
like
then
jumping out of an
miss the,
airplane. I liken it to, right? The plane's going up and you have a certain time to jump out and you could say, I'm going to wait, but you better jump before, you know what I mean? Things start
exactly,
changing. Like
exactly.
you got a window and it closes quickly.
Yeah, you know, you can't. There's if you can't make decisions in life on the spot, then you're
Sure.
going to struggle in trading, because you know, if you don't have cells put in place, which kind of
Yeah.
takes that decision side out of it for you, you need to be able to just make a decision in the moment. And if I'm being honest with you, if I look
Mhm.
back on my trading, I mean, I've been trading for 5 years now, and every single successful trade where I've booked huge gains, the time when I pulled that profit, I was always unsure whether I needed to. There's always that doubt: is it going to go higher? But
Sure.
every single time I've done it, it's been the right choice. You know, there's never been one time when I've looked back at that chart a week later and I've thought, damn, that was the wrong move. And even if it has, it's gone up a bit more and then gone down, you know. And it's always such a good feeling when that happens. But, you know,
Yeah.
if you miss that window, it's the worst feeling in the world, you know, and you have to watch all that time, effort, planning, you know, sticking to your plan, seeing it hit your targets, and you have to watch it all go out the window, you know, and then you have to build again. And that's the hardest thing, when your trade goes against you and then it goes really against you, and then you
Mhm.
really don't want to cut it, and then it goes into a loss, you know, you just start digging yourself a hole. And that's why risk management and managing your emotions is so important, you know. Um, I mean, there were times when I was homeless, I questioned whether I needed to sell my bags at the bottom, because I mean, you know what it was like, and when everything was bottomed out, coins looked dead. You know, the
Sure.
volume was dried up next to nothing. You know, Twitter was dead. You know, everything was so different. But you
Right.
know, studying market cycles, I knew that was part of the cycle. You know, that bottoming out period, accumulation, that was part of the cycle. And you know, then we exploded and we went on that first wave, and now we've had the big high time frame pullback again, had a big rally. I think we're due one more pullback, and then we get the end of year explosion, and then you know we're probably going to get a multi-year bear market again.
I mean,
And then
history repeats, you know, I mean, that's the
yeah,
thing.
and then it
Like
was
you have to learn, what is it? Those that don't learn lessons are doomed to repeat. And I think a lot of people from 17 don't want to repeat, you know, I mean,
exactly,
there's no
and you've got
question about that.
institutions involved now, so
Yeah.
you know,
Well, and that's, yeah, eventually, I mean, and that's the other thing you got to look at. I know you do, I'm saying, but, you know, I think that what we've experienced in this going back the past few years, you know, nothing lasts forever. It's not going to last. At some point, they're going to have their pause in it so much. It's going to, I think, make it harder for the retail trader to have that success. You know what I mean? Because they see what's going on. They're starting to accumulate. You see them accumulating coins now. You see Grayscale. You know, you see all this. So, yeah, I'd
yeah, and
say,
it's
you
not
know,
even
now is the
private
time, like this
anymore.
particular episode, listen to it, take action on it, because this is, you know, this is it. This is the time.
Yeah, I mean, they're not even making it private anymore. You know, you've got Grayscale publicly putting out their buys. You know, we've just
Yeah.
started a link trust. We've just started, they think they're starting an RSR
Yeah. Yeah. I saw
bank
that. Yeah.
soon
They're
as
adding it.
well.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so like they're making it, they're not even hiding and make it, and they don't even want to buy it on the cheap anymore. They're just letting people know that they're buying it now, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, people like JP Morgan, I'm pretty sure can find videos on YouTube of their, I can't remember the guy's name.
Jamie Dimon, where he said, I'll fire any
yeah.
trader. Right. But
Yeah,
now
well, he just slates Bitcoin from every angle, you know, and now you see JP Morgan setting up crypto desks left, right, and center. So it's all he said, she said. They say one thing, they do the opposite.
They're all playing a game. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Institutions know what they're doing. Sure.
Yeah, you need to ignore what they're saying and watch what they're doing, you know.
Yeah. Totally. Completely.
I mean, the people who did that years ago are sitting comfy right now, you know.
Well, you know, history is what does they say? History is a cruel teacher. You learn the lesson when it's done, you know. But well, brother, look, I appreciate it. A couple of other questions I want to ask you. Favorite food? You going out to eat at a restaurant? You got a few choices. What's your choice of food?
Steak every time, man.
How do you like it? So you get steak. How do you like your steak done?
Medium rare. Has to be medium rare.
All right. All right.
Yeah, it's my favorite food, man. I mean, I'm quite easily pleased, you know, but it has to be steak. Yeah.
I like a good steak. I appreciate that. And when you're music, I said when you're trading and you're watching stuff in the background, do you have on music, YouTube videos, Pandora, movies? What do you have on like in the background while you're working?
Usually I've got music on. I'm a hip hop fan. I listen.
I was gonna say name like what's a couple of bands you like, or what's a couple of genres you like?
I listen to a lot of hip hop, a lot of UK music, but if I had to choose my favorite hip hop artist, it was probably Nipsey Hussle, the guy who got me into crypto before he got shot. He's my favorite artist. And then I always have Bloomberg on the TV, just so I can see what's happening in the general markets like the Nasdaq and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've got a big like curve trading monitor, so I just have all my charts open on that. Have Bloomberg on the telly, and then I just usually just listening to music in the background. But you know, you don't really need to sit in front of your computer all day to trade, man. Like, I mean, most of the day, I find myself checking the charts once or twice. You know, you'll find trading goes a lot smoother when you kind of don't sit and stare at it all day. You know,
well, I mean, do you think some people, and I'm going to think you'd probably say yes, but do you think some people overtrade?
Yeah, I think over trading and over analyzing is definitely a thing. You know, the chart's not going to move any quicker no matter how much you stare at it. You know, so it's not going to go one way.
They'll be staring at that chart like, come on, go. You know.
Yeah, you know, and it's not gonna. You'll check if you go away from that computer screen for 10 minutes, you're going to come back in 10 minutes and that next 15-minute candle's still not going to have opened, you know? Right. And yeah, man, just trading becomes a whole different kind of game when you stop staring at the charts all day, I found, you know, because it's not, I mean, unless you really, really want to learn, I mean, that's how I learn. Like, you know, if you stare at charts for 4 years straight, you're going to learn some stuff. You know, you're going to start understanding where they bounce from, how they move. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't look at charts, but don't overanalyze, you know, don't overlook at charts, because you can do that too much, you know, and don't overtrade as well. You don't always need to hop from one trade to another. I mean, it's a good rule to actually take a break after you've had a winning trade. So many times you have a big winner and then you just hop straight into a loser, you know, just because you want another winner.
That's the overtrading. Yeah. I mean, I've had friends that have done it and it's just, you know, they do it. So
trades often come and slap you in the face when they arrive.
That would probably help. I'm sure with some
when finance goes down.
Absolutely. Well, brother, look, so if people want to connect with you, what is the best way? Twitter? How can they find you? What would you say is the best way to connect?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a website being made at the moment, which I'll be putting all of my free content on. But at the moment, I've got 2 free Telegram channels, Trappers Workshop, and 8 Friends. And then obviously I've got my Twitter account, which I'm posting on every day. I've just put together, actually, over the last month, I've put together a 20-page document which is just filled with information on risk management, profit taking, indicators, EMAs, all this sort of stuff. and it's free. I have
That's
been
great.
putting it on Twitter bit by bit over the past few weeks, but it is in one big document. So I'm going to get that out to everyone as well. I was waiting to put it on the website, and in the meantime, I've just been filtering it out in bits on Twitter. But yeah, I'll probably put that whole document out for everyone soon as well. I'm just trying to think what the best way to do it is at the moment.
Yeah, maybe put it on the website and have a link to it. You know what I mean, and put it in your bio.
Yeah,
But
it will
that
just
kind of
help
stuff's great.
everything I've said. It will just help everything I've said
Yeah,
tonight. Kind of everyone will be able
because
to see
people
it in
really
writing.
they need to know that. I mean, that's the thing. It's like content. I mean, I try and absorb a lot of content, and you get in some videos, and people are the affiliate links and all this. Not a begrudging from that. People making money, but I'm saying I want to hear more like what you're saying. Like you're talking about having your content. Like look, this is just how your advice on how things work, or your analysis, or whatever. I think that's good because people come into the space, and a lot of them, they don't know where to go. Right? They really don't know how to get good content and stuff to analyze the markets. And you're bringing that experience. Like my hat's off to you. That kind of stuff it's necessary. It's necessary
Yeah,
and
and
it's
the thing
good.
is, man, you've got a lot
Yeah.
of influencers on Twitter that have an agenda behind what they're doing. I'm not saying everyone's like that. I mean, there's a ton of good people on Twitter, but there are some people which have agendas behind what they're doing. There's
Well, I mean, you
people,
got
for example, who run paid groups which can't
yeah,
trade. You know,
yeah. No, I mean, and
but
people have projects they like. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is that I think in general, like what you're saying is bring, like, I feel like I'm saying you, like you, myself, anybody's been in the space a while, you owe new people to come in just because of the benefits we've had of experience. You owe kind of like that content just to kind of like pay it forward, so to say. You know what I mean? Like just let them know. And I feel like if you can at least get that out there and they see it, look, if you help, and it's like with the podcast, I had somebody who messaged me on one and he said, wow, I heard something that made me, kind of handle things better in the way I was doing. And it's like, that's the goal. You know what I mean? Like bring some content that helps people be better traders or understand the markets better so that maybe they can learn from our mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's
definitely, man. And
yeah.
there's actually a few. I'll say them now.
Mhm.
Crypto Tony, he's
Okay.
amazing. I mean, his calls and charts are the best. I mean, he runs a paid newsletter,
Mhm.
but it's very, very, very cheap.
Yeah.
And his
But he's
calls are
good. I've
so
seen his,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he's been so accurate on everything. And people like him, they're posting tons of free content as well on their Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's just so many good accounts out there now which are providing free content, you know,
Yeah.
and you just need to just dig and find them, I
Yeah.
mean, if you just click on my followers, the people I'm following, I think there's like 450. Every
Mhm.
single person on there, I follow them for a reason. And I'd recommend anyone to do that, actually. Find someone who you really respect and you think's a good trader and follow everyone they're following, because you
Yeah.
want the exact same timeline they have. You want to see the exact side of the market that they see,
Man, I
Uh,
appreciate that. You're following me. So man, I don't know what to say.
yeah, man. You
And
you
am I
used to
giving good
follow my
content?
old. I think you used to follow my old account, the one that got
I
shut
think I
down
did.
years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. And follow this. Look, I try and give. I mean, you obviously put a lot of charts up and way more. I'm not a TA guy or TA dog, but I tell people do your research, look into stuff, but always research and consume content. And I think that's just the way to do it. It's like the stuff you're putting up, you're going to put on your site. I think that's fantastic. Because people will get that free stuff and be like, okay, cool, I'm learning something. Like if you help one person, like it's worth it. Like that's what it's about. It really is.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do what I wish more people were doing back in the day when I first started out in crypto.
Sure.
Crypto was a much smaller world back then, I mean, it was probably 1/10 the size. So for every 10 people providing free info on Twitter, you probably had one back then. And,
Right.
it's,
It's grown.
yeah, yeah,
It's
we've
grown,
grown a
man. It's
lot, but
grown.
there's also a lot more people to educate and help,
Yeah.
There's a lot more people getting wrecked every day. So you need
There's no question about that. Well,
yeah,
brother, I appreciate you taking the time to go ahead and do this podcast. We wanted to have you on for a while, so it is my honor. I
you're
appreciate you
welcome,
taking
man.
the time, brother. Thank you.
You're welcome. We should do it again soon. Maybe towards the end of the year before the big
I
runs
like
happen.
that. You know what, brother? That would be an honor. I like it.
Cool.
Well, thank you. You have had Bitcoin Trapper on the Big Dawg Crypto podcast. I am your host, Big Dawg Crypto. And brother, thank you so much for making the time. I appreciate it.
Take care, bro.
You've been listening to the Big Dawg Crypto podcast. Follow on Twitter at WoofBigDawg. Woof, Big DAWG. And run faster than the competition. Woof, woof.